Peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural divine heirs. Today is April the 26th, 1442 on the ancient moon calendar, 1441 on the ancient sun calendar, and 2021 on the Greco-Roman calendar. We are here today to celebrate and also to get right down to business with regard to the Sovereign Investment Symposium. We want to welcome all of the sovereign heirs here, and we're going to get right into what we have today. We're going to we only have 3 questions that we're going to be discussing today. And of those 3 questions, they're all related to our vast estate. And then if there are any questions after the presentment, we can take just about 15 minutes to answer any questions you may have. And then the rest of the questions can be answered by way of the separate email address that we have set up specifically for this particular presentment and endeavor. So all rise and stand. This is a sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine, ancient, Moroccan, Moorish, American consular court action. It is Article 3, as well as a universal action. I am Sovereign Living Justice, Pauline Denise Ritchie, in Capitis Diminution Nolo, in red ink, in proprio persona sui juris, in proprio solo, and in proprio heredes. No United States corporation, company, citizen, nor their agents, principals, heirs, assigns, nor any derivatives thereof has personam jurisdiction, nor territorial jurisdiction, nor subject matter jurisdiction over me, nor over any more. The first question that we have is, why are we here today? And let me make sure that that is on the screen so that you can see the questions. Okay. We are here today to stand and to accept our sovereign inheritance and the responsibility as the heirs to approximately 219 companies that we are the heirs to, and those 219 companies are the foundation for approximately 99% of all of the companies on our land. We all knew that that we were the heirs to all commerce and all land and all natural resources. We have found all of that in terms of our research, and there's going to be a lot more research included in that, and also you, the heirs, will be doing, we, the heirs, will be doing further research. So again, we are here today to stand and to accept our sovereign inheritance and the responsibility as the heirs to approximately 219 companies that are the foundation for approximately 99% of all the companies on our land. We hereby activate the government structure to govern these resources so that we reap the benefits that our ancestors intended for us when they governed these same resources. The purpose of this sovereign living universal court action is to minister by government structure the long-term operations of sovereign go-back ancient Moroccan indigenous commerce through these 219 foundational companies, and to continue to minister by government structure the activation of the foundational analog banking system on our land, which is directly connected to this particular parcel of our vast inheritance. So these 219 companies, as vast as they may be and as vast as the resources are These companies are just a small part of our vast estate. Okay, now, just one moment. Okay. So, supporting documentation for the peaceful, competent claiming of our inheritance are as follows. Again, this is the supporting documentation for the peaceful, competent claiming of our inheritance, and it is as follows. The Circle 7 Holy Quran of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science as divinely prepared by the Prophet Noble Judicialle, which states in Chapter 1 that man will regain his lost estate. This is not a question, it's not a pleading, it's not a motion, it is a command. Chapter 1 also states that cherubim and seraphim that rule the stations of the sun and spirit of the mighty Allah, who rule the solar stars, are his protectors and his guides, and they will lead to victory. And lastly, for the purpose of this meeting today, our prophet states that there is no failure for the human soul, for Allah is leading on and victory is sure. So with regard to this vast estate, we are using as part of our sovereign authority these supporting documents. Article 17 of the Treaty for Peace and Friendship 1786 and 1836 states that merchants shall not be compelled to buy or sell any kind of goods but such as they shall think proper, and may buy and sell all sorts of merchandise but such as are prohibited to the other Christ or Christian nations. Note, we command and prohibit what is bought or sold on our land at all times, nunc pro tunc. And we do that by our actions, not just by stating it. We do it by our actions, and that's why we're here today. Also, in support of these actions that we are doing today, Article 20 of the Treaty for Peace and Friendship, 1786 and 1836, further states that if any citizens of the United States or any persons under their protection shall have disputes with each other, the consul shall decide between the parties, and whenever the consul shall require, and require in this case means command, any aid or assistance from our government, which is us, to enforce his decisions, it shall be immediately granted to him. Again, this is all a part of working together in commerce on our land to ensure that we are in control of everything. Additionally, additional supporting documents. The Constitution for the United States, Article 1, Section 8, states that we, the sovereign Congress, shall have the power to regulate commerce with foreign nations and among the several states and with the Indian tribes, and the Indian tribes is those from India. We shall also have the power to coin money, regulate the value thereof and of foreign coin, and fix the standard of weights and measures, and to establish post offices and post roads. Additionally, the Constitution for the United States, Article 1, Section 10, states that no state shall enter into any treaty, alliance, or confederation, grant letters of marque and reprisal, coin money, emit bills of credit, make anything but gold and silver coin a tender in payment of debt, pass any bill of attainder, ex post facto law, or law impairing the obligation of contracts, or grant any title of nobility. And the states cannot do that because we can. We can coin money. We can do all of the above. And there's no need for anyone to grant a title of nobility because that's in our blood. Question number 2. How do we begin to use and reap the benefits of our inheritance, which is partially these 219 companies, but again, the 219 companies is a very small part of our vast estate. However, this is where we're starting with implementation of the use and the benefits and resources of our vast estate. How do we begin to use and reap the benefits of our inheritance? What is the tribution method? And normally they would use the word distribution method for use of our resources, and how does it work? So when we looked through the historical documents with regard to all of the resources on our land, in researching the most orderly, efficient, lawful, and advantageous ways to tribute our inheritance to the largest number of heirs possible in the shortest amount of time, we were led by the ancestral energies to formally organize and list each one of the companies under one sovereign gold-backed exchange, the Moroccan American Exchange, or AMAC. Each company is listed in capitis diminuto nolo, in propria persona, in red ink, which keeps our resources and actions high above all corporate actors and outside of the corporate capitalism system, thereby protecting us from corporate schemes, claims, and fraud. This is the mechanism that assists us in using the companies and the resources that are part and parcel thereof, and through our own hard work, reaping the benefits of the resources that are ready and waiting for us to employ them. This is the foundation and first use of our inheritance. So the resources that come with these companies they're currently sitting untouched. And just a moment. Let me go through here and pull out. Okay. So now, with regard to the first and full use of our inheritance, which is these companies, the steps to full use and enjoyment of the resources are listed, and I'm going to go ahead and put those on the screen. One moment. Okay. The steps to full use and enjoyment of the resources of the companies are as follows. Each heir shall place a competent sovereign inheritance claim packet to one or more of the companies with the Moroccan American Exchange. Each heir shall be willing to invest their governing authority, their time and commitment and demonstrations into growing the company, just as any lawful heir would. So whenever any heirs have ever been given a company, they would come right in and begin working to grow the company, coming up with new ideas, new research and development for those companies, using whatever resources are available to make the company grow. And that's what we're doing. We've inherited these companies, and it's up to us to make them grow and to make them flourish so that we can live off of them, off of the vast estate that comes with these companies. It is suggested that heirs choose a company that they have some basic expertise in and or are willing to put in the study time to research and develop the resources that are already available to the company. A competent sovereign inheritance claim packet consists of the following documents in red in all lowercase letters. And again, this is not anything we've not already been doing. A name change or appellation change with a copy of moorishe identification card. And if you don't have the moorishe identification card, that's available. You can get them. And we already know where to get those from. If you don't know where to get them from, just put that in the chat, or you can ask any of the Moors where to get your moorishe ID cards from. A judicial proclamation, which is a document that we've all been using. They need to be in red in all lowercase letters. A proclamation of trust. A lien on the Social Security number. A statement of willingness to do consular court actions or proof of having done at least one consular court action. That's going to be key as we move forward in possession. A dividend reinvestment affidavit, and we will be providing that in the packet that we're going to be giving. And then an autographed sovereign creditor investment instrument written to the Moroccan American exchange, and that is provided by the United States Treasury by way of the Moroccan American exchange. So we have those. They will be included in the packet also. Companies can be claimed by multiple heirs, which will increase the company's value and capabilities exponentially in all areas if the heirs are committed and active. So again, those who, just one moment. Just one moment. Okay. So being active and committed to the company that we've inherited is going to be key. Okay. Okay, secondly, with regard to the claiming of the company, and again, there's plenty to go around. There's 219 companies, and there can be more than one heir to claim any one company. But we have to be willing to work and to study and to grow the companies based on the resources that we have on our land. Secondly, the heirs must begin working in research and development as well as connecting with other chief executive heirs of the company on the Moroccan American exchange. A list of chief executive heirs and their contact information will be made available to those who have completed the above parcel packet. Each one of our companies will be interconnected with others as we are a completely self-governing financial corpus sanctum. We are activating the governing foundational laws and principles by which our inheritance grows. Our inheritance, which is the ancient Moroccan Empire, will grow exponentially with us, the heirs, in full control of our own economic destiny. And we're going to list those companies a little further down so that you can see they'll be listed by the field that those companies are in, and you'll be able to see. And we'll also give a history of how all of this came to be. Each chief executive heir shall commit to frequent roundtable meetings with other chief executive heirs to share research and development information and to receive information on resources that have been uncovered and that can be used in the appropriate fields of commerce. The resources can only be safely accessed by competent liens, court actions, and proper titling, which is sovereign allodial title, and indemnification, which is the indemnis facier, and all of that is available, of the resources. And again, the Moroccan American Exchange does not, there are no charges or fees or anything for any of the information and what's being done here. The resources, proper claims shall be listed by and with the Moroccan American Exchange on the public record, as is proper governance. So all we're doing is looking at what was done on our land previously and learning how to govern the vast resources in the same manner, but doing it in our sovereign self-governing capacity. So how does the Moroccan American Exchange work? First of all, it belongs to all Moors. We are all the beneficiaries of it. We're also the beneficiaries to all the companies. AMAX is a sovereign resource exchange that holds the inventory of approximately 219 companies that are owned by the Moors. And let me go ahead and put that on the screen so you can see that. These companies are part and parcel of our vast estate and always have been. The history of the hypothecation of company documents is as follows. Because they did not touch the resources that belong to us because they couldn't, but they just pretended to own the companies and the resources by hypothecation of the document. In 1814, John Reed, a Moor, amalgamated with a corporate agent named Sarah Reiser by marriage. Reed owned the Reed gold mine that started the gold rush in the Carolina territories. Reed's wife, Sarah Reiser, the said corporate agent, along with her brother-in-law, Daniel Pacer, who was the capitalized corporate crown prince of France. And we say capitalized because the heirs are the princes of France. We've always been that. But he claimed it by capitalizing the title. He used capitalism to hypothecate the documents that expressed John Reed's sovereign authority over the land and gold mine resources. All new corporate capitalized hypothecated documents were created by the said corporate agents and their families, who distributed the corporations to their friends and family members. John Reed the Moor thought that he lost everything. He did not know that he was not any name in black ink and capital letters. Daniel Pacer then went throughout the land recreating the documents that expressed Moroccan American companies, to which we, the sovereign Moroccan Moorish American sovereigns, are the heirs. He taught his sons Adam and Jonas to do the same, and they gave the information to their children, two of which took the name of Lewis Cass and Lewis Cass Pacer. Note, Lewis Cass became the 22nd United States Secretary of State and worked directly with Thomas Jefferson and George Washington to find the documents of the Moors and capitalize those company documents. And there's a link on the screen to Lewis Cass and what he did and all of that. But he worked, that's why they call Thomas Jefferson and George Washington the founders, because it's like they went about and found the documents that our ancestors had put together in order to do commerce on the land, and they just capitalized them. And when they capitalized them, George Washington was really good at turning over everything to find the documents and looking through, and they did a lot of that by marriage, where there was amalgamation with them. George Washington was one of the main amalgamators in terms of him getting with Sally Hemings, etc., and having children where they were, again, capitalizing all of the documents. And that's the reason that they did what they did, was to capitalize the documents and then pretend as if they owned everything. Through those documents, they would show the documents to the Moors, and because the Moors had stopped teaching one another, about capitalism. They would show the documents, and the Moors would think that there was some tax or something assessed that they could not pay. And then Thomas Jefferson and George Washington would pretend to be the government that was repossessing the property because of a debt that could not be paid. But Reed and the other Moors did not know that that was not their debt. So the Moroccan American Exchange has decapitalized and competently listed each company for our use. This is one mechanism by which our vast empire will grow and prosper, and that's all based on us and our ability to go ahead and mine and harvest the resources and use them properly in connection with one another. The listing of sovereign resource companies include banks, railroads, agriculture companies, cotton mills, thread and sewing companies, gold and silver mines, insurance companies, electric power and utility companies, iron and steel companies, motor vehicle conveyance companies, tobacco companies, watch and timepiece companies, land and real estate companies, food and household goods companies, and a host of miscellaneous companies as listed below. And again, we will show you those companies, the list of those companies. There are also technology companies that are embedded in these companies, and every one of the companies that are operating today have some derivative of it that was created based on the hypothecation of the documents of these companies. Since we are the heirs, we have removed the corporate covering from these resources and have claimed them. Now the real work begins. The sovereign living Moroccan American Exchange hereby makes this information available to the Moors and implements an orderly claiming process by which those heirs who have a desire to do commerce from their sovereign trust. And again, the trust, everyone is in the same trust. We're all in the sovereign allodial original indigenous trust. Can do so they can do commerce by their own sovereign will and work. Although expertise is not a requirement, those heirs with degrees of knowledge ranging from basic to expertise in a field can choose a company and place a sovereign inheritance claim packet in writing on the record with the Moroccan American Exchange. This investment commitment serves the following purposes. We are writing our own herstory by taking this opportunity to catapult the gold-back reset. This is the reset that everyone's been talking about. The whole earth knows, and they've always known, that we've owned every resource on the land and that there was a gigantic hypothecation by way of, it only happened on paper. It did not happen where they dug up all the resources and used them up, because our resources last forever. They haven't gone anywhere. The whole earth has been watching us and waiting for us to wake up and realize that competently everything is still ours. We just needed to know how to proclaim it in the proper status and in the proper way and in an orderly fashion where we're unified when we do it. We are taking full responsibility for tributing our own inheritance to ourselves, which fulfills our own fiduciary responsibility to ourselves, to our heirs, to our nation, to our government, and to the whole earth. We've been waiting, when we were asleep, we were waiting for someone to dish something out, and there were some who were claiming to be the trustees of this, trust and that trust and the trust of the people, and We never received any type of distribution or tribution or anything. It was only ones trying to get fiat from us. And so we're taking it into our own hands. We are in control of our economic destiny, and we're self-governing in that manner. And so that's what we're doing today, is we're taking full responsibility for tributing our own inheritance to ourselves. We see that the inheritance is there. It's always been there. It's our turn now. We are stepping up as competent creditors, chief executive heirs, and ministers for our own vast estate. We do not delegate our sovereign status to anyone but ourselves, non-pro-tum. It is our written commitment to be competent, mature-minded trustees for our own vast estate. We are honoring our ancient foremothers and forefathers by our willingness to publicly invest in our nation and work to build our sovereign commerce without the United States Corporation Company. Finally, we are honorably and boldly standing as the sovereign beneficiaries as preordained by Ruth the Moabitess, the great pharaohs of Kemet, and the ancient Moabites and Canaanites who sacrificed their all so that we could live long and prosper. The reason that I read off the types of companies that are there is because if it's a gold company, a company that specializes in gold, then we have the authority, when we properly state it and use these methods together, we have the authority to go and mine it as we will. And no one else can say, oh, that's my land. It's, you know, it has gold on it, but it's my land. There's no such madness. It belongs to the heirs, period. And that goes for any of the other resources associated with these companies. So we are accessing the vast estate competently in the same manner that we saw them do it, except it's our turn now to do it, and to do it outside of the capitalist system. So what are the companies that we have inherited, and how do we claim our rightful inheritance? Here is the list, and we'll just go down the list. I doubt that I'll read all of them off, but I will show you the fields of that these companies are in, and some of them I'll tell you a little bit about them, because most of these companies were the very first one. They're the ancient company, and then the hybrids created everything else based on this ancient company. So we'll start here. The following sovereign companies and any agents, hopefully you all can see that on the screen. Let me know if you can see that. Can you see that on the screen, the list? Okay, great. Okay, the following sovereign companies and any agents, principals, heirs, assigns, and any and all derivatives thereof of each are hereby recorded on the Moroccan American Exchange and are the sovereign property of the de jure people who are the Moorish National Republic federal government. Puget Sound Agricultural Company, Hudson Bay Company, which many of you have heard of, Weyerhaeuser, which they were claiming to be the largest landowner in conjunction with the quote-unquote United States Corporation Company. They were claiming ownership of some 30 million acres or something like that. It might have been even more than that, of forest land here at America. Yes. This video is going to be made available on YouTube and on Facebook so that you can go back and pause the screen and look. And also this list of companies will be in the packet that we send out to those who are interested in claiming any of these companies. And then us all working together to use our own financial system, which is already in place. It's so easy that you just would not believe how easy it is. We studied the Medici banking system, and it's so simple that it's very simple. The Bibliopelio text says that we will use the simple things to confound the wise. And when you realize how simple all of this really is, and that we could have done it a long time ago, including the financial system, it's a wrap. It's done already. So, yes, these are going to be available, and they will be included in the packet. Pacer companies, the United States Postal Service is actually, we started that. The Federal Reserve, we started that, but we're the ones in red in all lowercase letters. General Motors, Rutherford Railroad Company, Southern Railroad Company, and then I won't read through all of these, but I'll just read some of the ones that may be of particular interest. Exxon Oil, Standard Oil. Believe it or not, the United States military, we started that, and it was a company that we used in order to mine the resources on the land and to protect and guard them. They started out as security for the resources. Lewis Cass Pacer, LLC, that company, but it wasn't an LLC at the time. Lewis Cass, the original Lewis Cass was one of us. The original Pacers were us, the Moors. And all they did was do what those fakes do when they try and get Moors into those fake courts. They just capitalize the name, or they capitalize the sovereign appellation. Sherraw and Chester Railroad Company. Now, most of these companies, if you look at the portfolio of those who are the one called Warren Buffett, the servant called Warren Buffett, the servant called Bill Gates and Elon Musk and those types. If you look in their portfolio, they have the majority railroads and insurance companies in their portfolios because they already know that that is the basis by which the fraud happens. So they keep an eye on them, but they only have them capitalized. They don't have them in red and all lowercase letters. And all they were doing was minding them until we woke up, period. That's why they're called public servants. And yes, those three names of those servants are public servants to the Moors, and they know it. South Carolina Division, along with the liens of the iron rails and cross ties of lines under 99-year leases, which have been merged into a certain railroad company. The liens that they're referring to are liens that our ancestors put on those companies. I will say this also, that this information is information that was taken directly from the U.S. Archives, almost word for word. So yes, they were doing liens back then. And yes, our ancestors did liens on the things that, the resources on the land in case any of these foreigners attempted to capitalize and cross-collateralize, which is what they were specializing in, is cross-collateralization financially. But our eyes are open financially, so we can see that that's not valid. Let's look at just a few more of these 219 companies. Here, lots of railways, every railroad ever. And the reason they wanted railroads so badly is, number one, it made it so that it was easier to ship the natural resources. Not only was it easier to ship the natural resources, but when you put a railroad in, the railroad has a claim to the land. And then they start digging around the land and under the land for minerals, etc. But again, they couldn't do any of that without our consent. And I'm not even saying that it all started with John Reed. There was a bunch of hypothecation going on all over and a bunch of amalgamation going on. That's what the Republic was set up for. So let's look here Number 39, Kings Mountain Gold Mine. Every gold mine on our land is on this list, just so that you're aware. You may not see it here written, but every last one of them belongs to the heirs. That's why we say approximately 219 companies, because the rest of them, it was just too numerous to list. But these, we have records in the U.S. archives where we can see what was done. Yes, even down in Mexico, Guadalajara. We already know that Mexico is America. So here, number 47 and number 48, right here. They knew that also. Banks and related companies. This is the long list of banks that were the foundational banks to every bank that's on this land. So when you talk about banking and all of that, you know, the courts, they act like they don't know until we state it competently. Okay? But just take a look at this list because it's extensive. These are the beginnings of all the other banks, every last one of them. And the one doing business as J.P. Morgan assisted with this the capitalization and the attempted theft of birthright as well. But it was not successful because we're still here, the land is still here, the resources haven't gone anywhere, and in fact the resources are even more so at this point. Cotton mills, thread and sewing machine companies. This was a big deal, and it's going to be a big deal for us because of the amount of flags that we need to produce, the amount of Moorish clothing that we need to produce, because even though, you know, for example, I'm wearing a shirt made by a hybrid company, underneath that hybrid company is, if you put that hybrid company in all lowercase letters, it still belongs to us. Nike, Under Armour, they know it. That's why they don't come and try and throw lawsuits at us and all of that stuff for saying that. We said that out in the open on the public record, and we continue to say it because they know it's true. When you put Nike in red in all lowercase letters, that's our company. When you put Apple, Microsoft, Berkshire Hathaway, Airbnb, put them all in red in lowercase letters, they go on this list too, and they're derivatives of something from this list. Again, Warren Buffett, if you look in his portfolio of investments, all he did was pull from this list. That's it. And then he went out and bought all of the hypothecated versions of what's on this list. Electric and power companies, gold and silver companies. So Southern Power Company, Duke Power Company, Lancaster Light and Power, Potomac Electric, General Electric, all of those companies, those are Moorish companies. Our ancestors owned those. And it's always been common knowledge among the CEOs. And that's why when we do our liens and everything that we've done, we send them and address them specifically to the CEO because the CEOs already know this stuff. They already know the history of their company. That's how they choose CEOs. Is who's in the Masonic order that knows that this stuff belongs to the Moors, and that when you start seeing liens and court actions come in by the Moors, that it's pretty much time to step down and start backing away because the Moors are going to be wanting their resources. And that's why you're seeing CEOs that were just dropping like flies and all of that stuff, because some of them, when they see us coming, they, they get out of the way. But they want to, but that whole system they're not going to just step away all at once. It's a gradual process the more competent we become. And the more active we become, they move away because, again, they're actually custodians of everything when they're in subject status. And that's what our court actions do, put them in subject status so they don't operate as corpses where they try and violate and throw the Moors in jail and act like they don't know who the Moors are. That's what All Rise and Stand is all about, is we raise them from the dead, that court status, and then they behave like subject to the Moors. And then they'll stay in place until they see us coming. They'll move back a little and kind of check to see, okay, do you all have that part? Okay, then we can move off of this and we can move off of that. I'll give you an example of that. When the one doing business as Donald Trump was in office, and I hesitate to say was in office, but because he doesn't have any office over the Moors. So all of those offices are subject to us. But when he was in, he started, court's fake office is a good way to put that in for today. Thank you for that language. He started moving all of the ones doing business as park rangers off of the natural resources and things like that they've been on. He started moving them off and saying and doing what they call closing down the national parks because of COVID. That's not a closing down of the national parks. That's a closing down of the corporations who've been attempting to govern that so that we can get to the natural resources, because we all know that all of the natural, the parks, the natural preserves, everything that says natural this and natural that has, or preserve or reserve, has our natural resources there waiting for us to use them, whether it be timber or gold or silver or platinum or ore, marble, whatever it is, it's there. So, yes, all the gold mines here, the motor vehicle companies, these conveyance companies, American Motors, General Motors, Cadillac Motor Company, Carolina Cadillac Company, Studebaker Carriages and Wagons, all of these were our ancestors' companies. And that's why in Hollywood, a lot of times they used to always show us with a Cadillac with the wheel on the back and all of that. Because they're basically just kind of jog our memory that that's ours too. And all other car companies or automotive companies or conveyance companies started from General Motors. They called it General because there's no car that's named General Motors car. It's all the others come from that. And they started it in Detroit, Michigan territory because that's where the most sleeping Moors were and the most resources were for that. But they knew that Detroit, Michigan territory, that when the Moors did wake up, they were going to need to shut down quickly. Shut down and get out of the way and let the Moors do what they do, because they know that the Detroit Moors, like most of the other territories, you know, when we come for that which is ours, we're going to do it peacefully. We're going to do it lawfully. And that's, again, what this is all about, is proper, competent, peaceful claim where there's no violence involved. When they talk about the Civil War and the American Revolution and all of that, they're not even talking about guns. They're talking about documents and paper and what they were doing. The one called Lewis Cass, who I mentioned earlier, George Washington put him over the quote-unquote Indian Removal Act, where he wasn't really moving Moors. What he was doing was capitalizing everything that had to do with them. That's it. He was just capitalizing everything that had to do with the Moors. And then claiming it, and claiming to govern it, and claiming to own it. That's it. That's why we never left the land. We've always been here. It's just that we were capitalized. Yes, Justice Jezreel, yes. Court battles. They did it all by court action. That's the only way. All they did was go to our courthouses, confiscate all the records, and they didn't even seize them. They just looked at them and changed them and created capitalized versions of those. And then said, okay, Morris, these are your records. You owe us this. And since you can't pay, get off the land. That's it. Same thing that they're doing today, by the way, when it comes to evictions and things like that. If we don't know that name in black letters and capital letters is not us, they use those documents still. So we have to know the difference, that we're in red in all lowercase letters in propria persona sui juris, in proprio solo, and in proprio haeredis. So let's look insurance companies. If you know anything about, again, the servant Warren Buffett, his portfolio consists mainly of insurance companies because you can fit everything else under there. Tobacco and related companies, that has everything to do with the land as well. Watch companies. I'm not sure how many of you remember Elgin watches, but I'm sure your grandfather or grandmother may have had an Elgin watch. Yes, Justice Giramore. Remember, under laws of usufruct, they could do this for a certain time. That time is over now. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. I'm going to who were so that those who've been there, they're coming back in. Those who may have dropped out, not by their own. Sometimes the technology drops people out. So we want to make sure that everyone who wants to be in is in. There they come. Is land and real estate companies. Alabama Mineral Land Company, Woodgen Plantation, Bondurant Plantation, T.M. Hughes Real Estate Agency, and these are companies from way back in the day. Most of these we've not heard of, but some we have. Alabama Mineral Land Company. Derivatives of mineral debt that they created was they would say you can own the land, but you can't own the minerals under it. That doesn't make any sense, does it? No, it doesn't. So, again, we're reclaiming everything that belongs to us. Now, there's some notes that are associated with some of these companies. We'll talk about those just briefly as well. Food and other household goods. Remember these names: Genesee, Gale Borden, Eagle Brand Milk Company, American Cereal Company, Heinz Pickle Company. They used to talk about the one female who was married to John Kerry, the one that was doing business as John Kerry, U.S. quote-unquote senator, etc. She was claiming the Heinz fortune, quote-unquote. Well, that belongs to the heirs. That does not belong to her. She was claiming it in all capital letters in black ink. That part she can have because that's debt. That's not us. Okay? They knew it. And now we do. United Fruit Trading Company, linked to Grace Shipping Line. And when I talk about these companies and us working together, if you choose a company such as a gold mining company, it's going to need to work with the shipping company. Okay, it's going to need to work with the shipping company where import and export is concerned. And we have some experience there too, where demurrage and all of that, U.S. Customs is concerned. We've done some of that work too. Back in the day, so we know a little bit about import and export. We'll be able, all of this is, part of the vast estate. And as the heirs, for example, I'll just use the servant Donald Trump as an example. In his businesses, whenever he, said, I just had a child and my kid is going to inherit this company. Well, okay, what does that mean? That means that the kid is going to get to work right away, looking at the company, updating anything, looking into ways that the company can grow, et cetera, et cetera. That's all we're doing right here. We've inherited these. It's ours. We already know it's ours. It's in the quote-unquote Library of Congress. It's the U.S. Archives and all of that. It's all over the place. And then we've also found out where to go to look for specific land records that you may or may not find online. Most of the time you can't find them online because they're older. And will be a lot of that information and how to dig it up so that your company grows. The Puget Sound Agricultural Company, which was the first one on the list, I put it first because Puget Sound is here, and that's one of the companies that I'm going to be investing in. I'm going to put forth anywhere between 10 million and 100 million gold-backed sovereign United States dollars towards that company by way of United States Treasury instruments. I know that by putting my investment in that company, I'm going to be able to get my hands on all of the resources that have to do with Puget Sound Agricultural Company. All we have to do is, in red and all lowercase letters, do the United States Treasury instrument. Put the company name on it, and that will be included in the packet as well, okay, so that you can see exactly how this works. And I want to say this about this particular meeting as well, and any subsequent meetings. These meetings are the exact same thing that those ones doing business as the wealthy and the 1%, you know, whenever they would come together and meet and do things like Bilderberger meetings and all of that, they're just doing what we're doing right now. They were doing what we're doing right now, putting any resources forth. And the resources that we have, that all of us have available to us right now, is sovereign credit and the United States Treasury. So we're going to take those instruments and put them towards what we're doing right here, and that's part of our claim of letting everyone know we're the heirs. How do you know you're the heirs? Because you put a competent claim. The competent claim is you've proven it by a name change in Judicial Proclamation, in red and all lowercase letters. And if you look over some of the things that are in the claim packet, it will show you exactly what they were doing, because they were claiming to be the sovereigns in those meetings when they would come together and put all of their resources together so that they could continue to govern the paper, because that's all they were really governing. They weren't really governing anything other than the paper. So let's look a little bit further at some of the rest of these companies. We're almost done. I want to bring your attention to this company right here. I'll highlight it on the screen. Do you see the name of that company on the screen? Just one moment. Hang on just a second. Now, I'll say this. Just one moment. Let me see. Okay, I don't know if I got the right one. I know that's the wrong one right there. This is, okay. I think I got the right one. Okay. So now, look at this company right here, Arbuckle Brothers Coffee Company. Does that not sound like someone did a derivative of that company and then spread it all over the earth? Yes. Arbuckle Coffee Company and Starbucks Coffee Company Starbucks is a derivative of Arbuckle. That's why they grew so fast. And guess what? That makes us the heirs to Starbucks as well. So, in red and all lowercase letters. I will say this about Starbucks because I watched them when they first opened. Their first store has the word Starbucks in all lowercase letters in white. So I knew they hypothecated it. I took a photo of that first Starbucks. It was in all lowercase letters in white. When Apple first started, they all started in all lowercase letters because you have to start that way. You can't really, like, you don't have a valid claim to do anything unless you start that way. They couldn't do it in red because that's us, so they did it in white. Just a little side note there. So, let's see. Oh, down here, 181, Sears and Roebuck and Company. That's another one. Steel and Price Manufacturing Company. A lot of these, you know. And then these miscellaneous companies. Colt Firearms Company. That's us. Our ancestors did firearms better than anyone. They designed them from scratch, and then they worked with the steel and iron companies to develop heat-resistant metals and things like that. And then they worked with the shipping companies, the Moorishe shipping companies, so that they could get the guns to wherever they needed to go, to the military, to wherever. According to the Second Amendment, actually, and I'll just throw this in there, the Second Amendment is not for individuals to be walking around with guns. It is for a well-organized militia to do so. And as long as the Moors are a well-organized militia, no other individual citizens shall have guns, period. And that's why they keep saying, oh, when they come for our guns, you know the revolution is on. Well, that's not even an invitation to violence. They will give up the guns when the Moors stand because they don't need them. Hard to believe for some people, but it's okay. We'll get there. We're almost there. Let's look at the rest of these. J.P. Morgan, Republic Bank, etc. I'm going to put in the chat for those who would like to see it. Uh-oh, I didn't mean to do that. Just 1 second. I'm going to put in the chat a link to the Lewis Cass Pacer, the original document. Well, it's not the original document. It's in the U.S. Archive, but there's one in the Library of Congress that's even more, Justice Frank, they didn't really jack us up because all of this stuff is still here. In fact, they just did us a favor. We slept and went to work every day and, got thrown in jail and all of that stuff. And now it's like, oh, we're awake. We don't have to go to jail anymore. We can just manage and govern the vast estate. Period. Yes, Empress today, we did decide to go for our own so-called. In the chat, there is a link. Please grab a copy of that so that you can read further into Lewis Cass and Daniel Cass, Daniel Pacer, and John Reed, and how the whole hypothecation happened. Now, they're not going to say we hypothecated the Moors estate. They're not going to say that. They're just going to talk about how they rewrote and recreated companies and all of that. We have to read between the lines because we already know. And then I'm also going to put a link in the chat to, just one moment, let me see, to the other Lewis Cass, and these are brothers. They're brothers. One is the older brother to the younger brother, Lewis Cass. One is Lewis Cass and one is Lewis Cass Pacer. And let's see, I'm going to put a link in the chat to Lewis Cass, the one who worked with George Washington and Thomas Jefferson. So you can read about him as well. So the plan of action is to, that's a good question. We're coming to that. Let's go down this list even further, down to the end. Just looking at the rest of these companies. Most of these companies are companies that there is, every last one of them, it has a derivative that was operating in a corporate capacity. And now we've removed all of that. Okay. So the plan of action is this, and we talked about it up there a little further. So let's go back up to the plan of action. We know that we're the heirs to all of this. Okay. So the initial question was, why are we here today and how do we begin to reap the benefits? So I'm going to go back down here again. We're here today to stand and accept our sovereign inheritance and the responsibility as the heirs to approximately 219 companies that are the foundation for approximately 99% of all companies on our land. And we hereby accept and activate the government structure, because that's what we're doing today, is putting the government structure in place to govern the resources. How do we do that? Well, we've listed our delegations of authority, the Circle 7, the Constitution, the treaty, and then our own sovereign bloodline and birthright, and the fact that these companies were put together by our ancestors. Here's the plan of action. Each heir place a competent sovereign inheritance claim packet to one or more of the companies, and you're going to send that to, here's the email address. First of all, this is what is necessary. And the reason this is necessary, because again, some say, I'm an heir and anything I want, I'm just going to take it. That's not how this works. That's how people get arrested. We have to do things competently, in order. And again, there's more than enough for all the Moors. So there's no need to, for us to fight and fuss over any of this. These companies can be claimed by several Moors. The more Moors that claim the same company, the better, simply because you're going to have more resources. And you're also going to have you're going to have a bigger investment. Okay, I'm investing $10 million in my company, in the Puget Sound Agricultural Company. Gold-backed sovereign credit into this company. And then I'm going to grow it by the documents that are created. And again, once you return the packet that's here, and it can be done all electronic. You return these documents electronically, and the place that you send the documents to electronically is this email address right here. And you can send a request for the documents to this email address, and we will send it back. Just put in the subject line, request for the sovereign inheritance claim packet. And we will send it to you at the government, and government has an E on the end, at gmail.com. thegovernment@gmail.com. That's the email address. This email address is only for receiving completed inheritance packets with the following, as stated above. A competent sovereign inheritance claim packet consists of the following documents. And again, most of you have these documents already printed up. You've already done most of this stuff. Just one moment. Let me throw this. Just a moment. Okay. Okay, so you send the document, the completed packet back to thegovernment@gmail.com. That's TheGovernmente, the government with an E on the end of government @gmail.com. A copy of your Moorishe ID card, the name change and judicial proclamation. And if you don't have a Moorishe ID card, just send any picture ID. And it doesn't even matter if it's a corporate ID because all of that stuff is reverted. It's all reverted back. Reversion of the state, right back to, we're in red in all lowercase letters. A judicial proclamation, a proclamation of trust, and that's just a one-page document saying I do have a sovereign trust, or my trust, my full faith and credit is vested in my government, the Moorish National Republic federal government, or whatever Moorish government you're a part of, because we're all one still. Let's see. A lien on the Social Security number. That's going to be important. If you've not done a lien on your Social Security number, look under this video. There's a lien under this video that you can basically just edit for yourself and then sign it in red in all lowercase letters and send it. You can scan it in and put it with your email to thegovernment@gmail.com, and that's government with an E, along with these other documents. A statement of willingness to do consular court actions or proof of having done at least one consular court action. A dividend reinvestment affidavit, and we will be providing that. So if you send the first few documents, the two documents that we provide will be the dividend reinvestment affidavit and an autograph, and we'll send the sovereign creditor investment instrument from the Treasury as well. Okay. And do not do that. I don't know who it is that's saying do that. Don't do that in the chat. I'm gonna have to throw that one out. And we know that that's not our Justice Frank. That's someone else. That's a hybrid pretending to be Justice Frank. Yeah, don't. That doesn't have any. That's not our. That's a hybrid pretending to be Justice Frank. So don't worry about that. So do not do that. We don't need that. Okay. So when you send your documents to thegovernment@gmail.com, and again, we're the only government on the land. There is no other. Please text the words completed packet sent to 334-294-9828 so that we will know that you sent your packet, and we'll check the email just in case, so to see that we got it. And then we will send you the dividend reinvestment affidavit and the autographed sovereign creditor instrument. And it will be for you to autograph it and send it back, and then we'll fill out the rest and return to you a copy of, because we're going to autograph it as well, so that it gets to the Treasury, which is us still anyway. It's not going anywhere outside of our government. So it doesn't go to any corporates or anything like that. Are there any questions or comments about any of this? The reason we're doing it this way, and normally we don't really get too involved that heavily in the administrative process, but in this case, it's important that we do so that everything remains orderly, and so that the companies that you step up and say, I'm the heir to that we're able to access the resources that belong to that company, because the resources are already there. And if you think about it, we've been doing this for the for the corporate the whole time anyway. We're just bringing our skills over here to our nation. And yes, Chief. It is righteous work. Do you need to use the ancient wording? The documents are going to be in ancient wording. If you'll just leave them in ancient wording, then when you do your autograph will be in red in all lowercase letters, and it's your sovereign born autograph. So you don't really have to worry about the wording. And of course you can read the wording because it's phonetically competent, you know. So we put it in ancient wording. We use the ancient English because it keeps it out of the capitalism system. And I'll give you an example of that really quickly, and then we'll take any questions. Those who don't want to use it, these documents, and this is an ancient platform. So the platform is going to remain the same. It is ancient. It's been ancient. This platform actually existed before the hybrids ever got here and gave them that language, that corporate language. This platform's always been here, and it's always been written in ancient language. And so we're not going to change what our ancestors did, because that's what we're going back to. The ways of our ancestors. So those who don't want to use it, you can still participate, but again, you're not going to be changing any of the documents anyway. The documents are going to be in capitis diminutio nolo, in ancient English, in red ink. That's what we send, and when they come back, they're going to be that way as well. It'll just have your autograph in red in all lowercase letters. And another thing is we're not using fiat, so we don't, to put United States dollars in capital letters, that would be using Federal Reserve debt notes. And that's forbidden on this platform. We don't use fiat on this platform, and if you put capital letters on the documents or on the money, then you're talking capitalism. And that is actually, that's a hypothecation. It's fraud for these documents. So they have to stay in, yes, they will be emailed to you, and that's why we put this email address here. If you'll just put in the subject line, request for our Moroccan exchange documents, we'll send them to you. And then we're also going to be, anyone who has any questions, once you have returned your documents, and we get ready to send you the, and we send the instrument and also the dividend reinvestment affidavit. And I'll just say a little bit about that. It doesn't work with the Treasury anymore. In the chat, modern writing works with the Treasury as well. They take all types of processes. Yeah, they don't honor them though, and that's why people are still not getting anything from them. That Treasury, the fake Treasury, that's not the real United States Treasury. We're the real United States Treasury. And the real United States Treasury was set up by our ancestors, and it only takes gold and ancient documents. It doesn't take capitalism documents. And so we're going to honor that as done by our ancestors. Yeah, because So anyway, when we send the documents back to you for you to sign, to autograph rather, yeah, that's why they never honor any of that stuff, Empress. They never honor it. No one's ever gotten a dime from that fake Treasury because that fake Treasury doesn't have anything for them. We're the real one. We have the real resources. And when I say we, I mean all Moors. So are there any questions, comments, or anything of the sort? We are going to be taking free conference call appointments. If you want to set an appointment, once you've returned your documents, and you want to set an appointment to talk about the documents or anything that has to do with the Moroccan American exchange, we will be happy to meet with you. Happy to meet with you. This is important because the companies that you claim are going to be working with the companies that we claim. We've claimed the Puget Sound Agricultural Company because this is the Puget Sound region, or territory rather. This is the Puget Sound Reservation. And we're going to need to send some things over to the other territories. So we're going to need whatever companies are over in your territories, we're going to need those. We're going to need the transportation companies, and in some cases, Puget Sound Agricultural will be the transportation. So if we have to take some things over to the east coast of Mexum, we'll do it. We'll hop in our conveyances and get going, and meet with all the Moors on the east who have, who are doing the work as the heirs. Can we use Moors in our territory to autograph? I don't quite understand the question. Any of the documents that are in here, that are in the packet, only require 2 autographs. One of the autographs is going to be an Moroccan American Exchange representative, which is me. In this case, it's me, but over time, we can't do everything. Over time, it's going to be you all. Right now, because, and this is important, I'm glad you asked that question. Right now, we're on the ground floor for setting up the entire reset. This is the whole reset right here. And those who are involved at this point, yes, it is a unity reset in the chat, the Empress Divine L. Yes. So right now, we're going to make sure that anything that comes up at this point, while there's a remnant of us that are setting this history in place, we want to make sure that we are able to answer all the questions and get everything clearly overstood so that as the expansion happens with the Moroccan American Exchange, because there's some areas of expertise that the other Moors who have financial backgrounds have that maybe I don't have, or maybe some of the others don't have. But I can tell you this, from what I'm seeing, it's much simpler than the colored folks made it seem. They colored everything to where it seemed like it was so complicated, but it's very simple. We just did the reset just now. This is the reset. It's happened. Period. It's done. You can mark it in your calendar, April 26, 1442, the reset happened. All of the companies and resources are back in the hands of the Moors. And so from this point, this is going to be our birthing of the commerce piece. And so from this point, I am going to be directly involved, hands-on, with the packets that come through in that government email. So you will see my autograph on some of the items and things that go through, because I have a vested interest in the furtherance of the empire. This is how our empire grows. Send an email just saying to thegovernment@gmail.com. That's government with an E on the end, because it's government. It means government in French, or Latin rather, or either one. In the subject line, put request for inheritance packet. And I'll just put that I'll put that on the document. In the subject line here. in the subject line, put request for inheritance packet. Okay. I know that some don't feel comfortable with the change in the language. However, the platform requires it. Okay. Yes, Islam, innvestente. Innvestente has put it in the chat, request for inheritance packet in the subject line. Okay. I am going to take a chance, and it's not really a chance, but I'm going to put everyone on. And you can unmute yourselves and ask any questions you may have. Hybrids, you will be booted out of here if you even speak. Because you all don't ask competent questions, but we don't expect you to.
How much LSD have you taken, lady?
There it is. Okay, yeah, you're out of here. Goodbye. He stayed here the whole time just to ask that question, so I already know we're making great sense. Any questions? Star 6 to unmute yourself, Air.
Islam.
Islam Justice.
Empress, I have a little company in Trinidad called RC Plumbing Supplies and Services. Yeah. Can I get it in the listing, or should I remove it first from the Ministry of Legal Affairs and bring it into our moorishe listing? What's the process?
Okay. Let me ask you a couple of questions about the company. Did you at any time register your company with the corporate there?
I did.
Okay. We want to terminate all corporate contracts that way. So this is what I would say do. Just a suggestion, because you can't tell sovereigns what to do. I would terminate the corporate contracts. Again, keep doing your business that you're doing because your business is necessary. But terminate, you want to remove the corporate covering off of your business so they can't tax you and they can't do anything. So for heirs such as yourself, you're going to yes, innvestente, you're absolutely right. You're going to put a lien on the all caps for that company, and you're going to do a court action on that. But again, keep doing your work that you're doing, and then you're going to be in transition. Your company, and this is how this works, your company is going to be an allodial sovereign company that it's kind of like, because it's small, and I assume it's small. Is it small? Is it a
yes,
small
it's
company?
Small.
Okay. Okay. We need our small companies because they're going to be they're going to help get things going with regard to the companies that's on the list. So at some point, you're going to be an agent, a sign, etc., even though you're an heir to all the companies anyway. But your company, the thing that you're doing right now that you have expertise in, you keep doing it, make sure that it's allodial and sovereign, and then there's going to come a time in some of these companies where your expertise is going to be needed with what you're doing. And in fact, that time is already here. So whatever it is you've been doing, your expertise is going to be needed with one of these companies. I know some Moors who do jewelry, beautiful, beautiful jewelry. Well, there's jewelry companies here that are going to need some expertise, and then you may be able to help one another, because the ones who do the sovereign, who are starting fresh and doing, for example, I'm doing the sea salt company. I'm starting fresh. I've never done sea salt before, but I have done business before, commerce before. So, because I'm starting fresh with that, I'm still going to need to pick up the phone and call those who've been doing commerce before and maybe ask a question or two. However, the advantage of what I'm doing by starting fresh is that I'm going to be able to uncover resources, and when I uncover those resources, they're not going to have a corporate covering over them at all. So that's what we mean when we spoke earlier about removing the corporate covering so that they can't tax what you're about to do, your sovereign, your sovereign commerce. Okay? You don't even want them to try to tax it because they don't really have a place. When you put it with the corporate, they just capitalized it. That's all they did. They didn't do anything for you. They did act like nothing for you. All they did was hand you some paper. You've been doing all the work.
Right.
They haven't done anything. And so it's the same thing now, except that now you have a vested interest in your company.
I noticed that there's Republic Bank. Is that the same bank in my territory?
You know what? You can, if there is a Republic Bank in your territory, put it in red in all lowercase letters and let them know that you're the CEO of that.
You hear that? You hear that? Can you say that again?
Huh?
Can you say that again, please?
Okay. The Republic Bank that's in your territory, they copied and capitalized the Republic Bank that's on the list. So all you have to do is put it in red in all lowercase letters and let them know that you're the CEO of that company. You're the chief executive heir of the company. And you do that by mail. You just send it to them in writing, by mail, by sovereign affidavit. And the way that I would do that, this is my suggestion. The way that I suggest you do that is with the documents that are in this packet. Name change, Judicial Proclamation, and a copy of your sovereign Moorish government ID. A copy of your trust, not your trust, but just a declaration saying, I have a trust. We don't need copies of anyone's trust. We just need, but Moors do need to have a trust of their own. And then we have the overarching government trust. Okay, so, you're the chief executive heir of that Republic Bank. And by it being in Trinidad, they already know, because Trinidad, they kept a lot of the older documents and paperwork and all of that. They kept a lot of it, whereas here on this land, we've had to dig up and search for it. You all already have it. So they already know who you are.
Wow.
So you're the heir to that too, period. And so any resources, and this is where the electronic funds transfer, the SWIFT system comes into play, except we're putting up our own system. We're implementing our own SWIFT system. And we'll talk about that at our next meeting. Our next meeting, we're going to continue the symposium-style financial stuff, the financial meetings from this point forward for the most part, because we need to get all of this going. And then I'm going to be doing demonstrations out here, just like we've been doing, with regard to the natural resources and things like that, and the buildings and the facilities and all of that. And I'll be letting you all know how those go so that you can look at the demonstrations.
I heard you haven't even been going out of your house since the Popo been looking for you, Pauline.
They such haters. Stop hating on us. We love y'all. We haven't done anything to you. Go on now. We love you. Bye. So we'll be doing our demonstrations and things like that, and then we'll be showing those demonstrations and how we did them. This is how we know the court actions work, because we did a POW camp demonstration and they couldn't move.
Wow.
But we had to get rid of that all black, all cap court. That thing had to go. So do a court action on whoever it is that you filed that stuff with. Because think about it. You're the heir, but you're not seeing the manifestation of your heirship.
Mm-hmm.
We should not be suffering. Anyone who says that is right. We shouldn't be doing without. The only way we're going to not do without is to move forward with these kinds of demonstrations together. We already know everything belongs to us.
Islam.
Do a court action and a lien, and then proceed sovereignly and allodially with everything that you do. So you can keep those, keep your company going, definitely, because you have expertise there. And then as these companies that are on the list start operating, they'll be calling you. What is your area of expertise?
Plumbing.
Plumbing. Is that what you, did I hear you correctly?
Islam.
Yes. So we're going to need that. We're going to need that because there are buildings and we're going to need that because we're going to have to do, there are buildings that are coming up where we're going to need your expertise on that. And we can actually do a meeting like this, and you can show us what to do if we have an issue there. You see? So for any of the entrepreneurs, any of the Moorish entrepreneurs, just you know, keep doing what you're doing, but make sure that you put everything in red in all lowercase letters, and make sure that you do a lien and a court action on that black stuff, so that they can't use that to violate you. Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I have my 17-year-old son. He has a question to ask.
Islam nobility.
Islam. I was just curious about how would life be for me when I come out of what you would consider high school. I was wondering, where would I stand in this economic system that we are recreating or reestablishing in this time for me?
You are in a pristine place because, number one, you don't have a whole lot of corporate contracts everywhere, but you do have some. So it's going to be easier for you to come into the new economy, the reset, because once you terminate the minimal corporate contracts that you have, you don't have to worry about somebody putting you out of a domicile for doing a demonstration that, you know, where there's been some contract established somewhere. Okay? And most of us won't have to worry about that here shortly. Okay? But you're coming out kind of fresh. So it's going to put you in a great place because all you have to do now is learn the documents, the name change and the Judicial Proclamation where jurisdiction is concerned. And then you can go straight into, see, you don't have to learn the hard lessons. You can go straight into sovereign commerce from the very beginning. From the very beginning. You know, it's not like you're having to fight your way through a lot of programming either. You know, so it puts you in a great place. You're in a great place to go ahead and start straight off the bat with sovereign commerce and the gold-backed system, and not having to deal with a lack of fiat. Because it's not like it's like with most of us, We're not used to walking around with big suitcases full of fiat. We're not used to that. That just didn't happen for most of us. Why? Because we weren't in charge of that. We're in charge of this. So now you just need to set yourself up as far as the study of the documents, okay, and then begin demonstrating those documents. Whatever your area is that you want to go in, choose a company on the list and begin the study of accessing the resources. We mentioned research and development. So I'll give you an example. For Puget Sound Agricultural Company, which is one of the companies that I've chosen to invest in and then also to grow, I'm now looking around both in the records and out on the land for anything that Puget Sound, that any agricultural company might use. And then I'm going to take the things that I know about doing a lien and doing court actions. And also, we have learned recently how to perfect the lien where the buildings and the structures are concerned. Islam in the chat. So you can just start right off with the study of your vast estate without any college debt attached to it. So you're in a great place. You're in a great place.
Islam.
Right now, study is going to be your key. So in place of college, that inferior education system, it is suggested, and this is just a suggestion because you can't tell sovereigns what to do, but as a suggestion, study yourself. Study more science. Study the area of expertise that you want to go in. And then put these documents in place and begin looking around at the natural resources that you can use to further your company. Because all of those natural resources belong to us, all of us. Okay.
Anybody else question? Any question? Sure. Come on. We have one more person at the table. Have a question?
Okay.
Sure.
And yes, and for those on the call, this is Trinidad. The Moors at Trinidad, the Trinidadian Moorish American Consulate, and the Moorish National Republic Federal Government at Trinidad. Go ahead, please.
Go ahead.
Islam? Yes. Islam. I am in here. Get a class. But
come on, Bobby. Should the question pick them and go over the lady?
Okay.
They're shy. They're very shy people. I don't know why.
It's just so worded. It's from the CEO of the bank.
Well, you're the CEO of the bank. Good.
So you show your credentials that you're the CEO. So you could withdraw from that, or you must have money in order to do it.
She's asking, can you withdraw money if you claim to be the CEO of the bank?
Okay, so there has to be a currency exchange for that to take place, and it has to be a valid currency exchange. So she's going to have to do we pulled up some really important documents that I posted out on social media today with regard to how they did that in the past. She's going to have to do the study on the currency exchange process and how to make it so that now this is key. The answer to her question is yes, but she has to study competently how to do it. Because she's really not going to be withdrawing money, she's going to be transferring sovereign credit. And that's something we talk about all the time. we know we can transfer sovereign credits back and forth. And we can transfer sovereign credits by email.
Wow.
So for that bank that's there, I would not attempt to do that at this time. That's my suggestion. And the reason I say I would not attempt to do it at this time is because they may still be thinking they're a corporation, and they're not. They're subject. She needs to learn how to do liens and court actions, because we're going to be doing a demonstration similar to that sometime soon as well. Okay.
Islam?
But the study must be done.
Islam?
Islam.
Oh my God! All this time I was trying to come in, but I had the thing. I don't know. I don't even understand this Obama phone for nothing. This is just a spring ill. Hi, Renee. Hey, Renee. We have relatives there. You know, I was told him for 44 years, and I was talking to him earlier. He got a little party going on with a long table. And I gave him I gave him the phone number to his contact. You know, because I've been talking to Trinidad for a long time, 44 years now, 1977. And so we met for the first time, and it was not the Ariane. You blocked me 4 times. Thank God I got the phone going, so I didn't miss a heartbeat or a word.
I knew the phone was you.
And I had 2 laptops because I just be scared to death to miss what you're saying, because I go to sleep and I use you as meditation for me. I support you so much. And you're such a blessing. My God. Thank you. Thank you. I don't know where you came from, what planet, but I love you to death. We all love you because you are so accurate. And I live to be 71, girl. And look, let me tell you something. You just make my day. My point is, okay, you found out you blocked me 4 times. I mean, I was trying to see the screen. And I typed somehow or another. You got it back. Okay, good. Now, but the point is,
it'll be out on YouTube, so you can stop it. That's why I make sure that the wording is big enough for everyone to see, so you can stop the screen and this document that's here is going to be a part of the package as well.
Here's what I'm saying, Sister Leigh. I know you're not used to people like me. Now, on my 18 wheeler, I'm a jack of all trades, plumber, electrician, you name it. Because I've been 71, so I've been doing a lot of stuff. But the point I'm getting at, not only that, you can't bring fiat currency, but I got so much of that stuff. I'm giving stuff away. I give away a lot of fiat. So I guess I'm rich on. So I'm highly successful. Raise children and stuff, but I own my own home. Now I'm trying to make it into a Moorish council or whatever they call it in Northeast, and I really, 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 really seriously want to do that. I want to give them everything I got because I don't like fiat. I really want to get the paper. The problem here's the problem. I'm telling you my problem though. The problem is I know you know too much. That means I know about the flash drives. I ain't got nothing in my hand. I will put, first of all, if I go to state, I'm gonna give me 666. That's a magic number. I'm gonna put liens everybody. And I trust you so much. And I ain't gonna get you in no trouble saying that you're a leader, because we all leaders.
Yeah.
Everything you say, you are amazing to me. I mean, the ancestors just tear your butt up, girl. I mean that too. You a miracle in disguise. And I'm trying to support you, but I really, truly, I do own a homeowner. I want to make this an image so bad. I want the machines to do the nationality cards. I want the papers in my hand. I'm the first one that had what you call it, RS tent to Lien. I had that like 4 or 5 years, and I got this state of the art. I got not only a machine, it's office, it's scanner, it's it's fax, it's photo, it's got Canon, and it don't even work. I paid $389. I went to Delaware because I'm in Philly.
I'm going to stop you there.
Okay.
Because I'm
you know
not
I can
really
go, girl.
sure
I love my women.
Yeah,
you have to stop me, girl.
Yeah.
I like to chit-chat like these women. You know, I ain't never, I don't chit-chat with men. It's mama, I know I ain't got no breasts.
It's wrong. Mm-hmm. So here's what I'll say, Justice Frank. The things that you want to do, go ahead and prepare to do them. And you know as well as I do that it takes study. So I'm going to stop you there. And what I'm going to do is see if there's anyone else who has any questions. I didn't specifically hear any an issue specifically that I can help with.
Excuse me. Let me start with a little. So much pride in digging that I need help, and I'm scared to ask. I'm serious.
Okay, well,
because I really know I got the power to do it, the money to do it, but it's just that I just it's nobody but me.
Okay.
And so
Justice Frank,
I want to do what you.
We can.
So I'm not bad at that boy in Trinidad. I'm telling you. The point I'm getting at is I understand, and I listen very attentively, but I just ain't got nobody. I didn't got it in my hand. I'll push that sucker if I can get it.
So
that's all.
So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and move to another question from someone else if there are any other questions, and you and I can talk at a later time because you and I we talked on the phone about a week ago, didn't we?
Yeah, you called me and talked to me like a girl talks stuff, because I ain't crazy about men.
I don't know what that means.
Not boys. I know you don't, because I'm 71.
Yeah. Islam. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and go on to the next question.
Has Marcella been to Uranus, Pauline?
Specific reason? I don't see any specific thing that I can assist with there. Are there any other questions from the Moors? Islam.
Okay, first and foremost, I just want to go back. So for all the Moors, because I know there's some new ones on here, and to say that I know the Empress from Trinidad was speaking of her getting fiat out the accounts. And like you stated, it's going to take the study, but just for the Moors to know,
it's not fiat that she'll be getting.
That's right. You're right. It would be, sovereign credits, and we first must change the corporate accounts into our sovereign resource accounts. For those that have not done that, you have to do that first, and we've been using corporate credit cards that now are our sovereign cards to gain access to our sovereign credits, the same way anyone else has been using credit cards or debit cards through all this time. We changed it. We changed the currency. We exchanged it from the fiat corporate to the sovereign credits ourselves. We did that through all the documents that Light is stating and the affidavits and it's going to take the study. But once that is in place with all the documents that you're saying right now, then once we have everything, I guess, in order, and we send a package to you, right? We did everything. We got the package. We sent it to you. What would be the next step as far as, I guess I would say, part of the demonstration that we would do? Like for me, I've been in real estate for a long time, so obviously something like real estate, I gravitate to that. I've been studying insurance, even though everything has been more on a corporate level. I know all that's going to be changed over into our sovereign Moorish. Anything that I've learned corporate, I know everything that I could do from that to change over to our sovereign Moorish estate, and we'll just change it over to that. So I'm more focused on that. So I guess I would say once I put the package to you and we signed everything, what would be the next step as to demonstrate on us taking it over from that point, if you understand what I'm speaking of?
I do. We talked about this a few months back. Any of the for example, when you're doing real estate, The real estate is going to be done between the Moors only. It's not even really going to involve the corporates or the subjects. It's not really going to involve them. We notify them, but for example, Empress Shade, there is a building. Let's just say there's a building that I want for my sea salt. I'm going to lien everyone involved. I'm going to do a court action on everyone involved. And then you and I are going to come together, and we can come together on free conference call or whatever. But since we know you do real estate, you and I can do an allodial sovereign exchange for the real estate. It's going to involve sovereign credits being transferred back and forth to your real estate company, your sovereign Moorish real estate company. And that can be done. We're going to start that off by doing it the same way that they do that national thing called the SWIFT system. You and I can make that exchange by email, the same way they do in realty, in real estate, supposed real estate. They do a lot of the transactions by email and fax machines.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Because before I woke up, that's how we did it. Everything. We were in Alabama. I was in Alabama, and my consort was someplace else. I believe he was someplace else, and the domicile was here. We were in 3 different places and got it done without. I hadn't even laid eyes on the place, and it's this place here. And that was like 15 or 16 or 17 years ago, something like that. So we're going to do it the same way. And then everything that you know about real estate, you're going to make sure that we rebut those documents. We're the bank, so we already know how to rebut the banking document. And that is what the instruments that we're sending that come in the packet do. They rebut any other claim where banks are concerned about the company or the exchange. So with your realty company, and I'd love to do the demonstration with you for a building here since you're involved in real estate. And then I'll go do the demonstration where I say this building, I bought this building today, and it's ours. And I'll go into the building and begin working. So that's what's next, is begin any more who need real estate things done in red and all lowercase letters need to contact you so that you can do that process with them. And you and I can start it off because I need to do it anyway. The building that we were at on the day that I went to the POW camp in February, they vacated it. It's gone. Everybody's gone, and they put a big vacate symbol on the building that is vacated or that it's vacant. And I put a photo of that on social media so that the Moors could see that that's what happened after I got done with that demonstration. So I'd like to put a sovereign exchange on the public record for that building, a financial real estate exchange. So what you would do is, and this is where research and development comes in, that building, and I've done it already, but I'll give you my research. We would determine what the building is worth, the market value, okay, and then I would craft a treasury instrument made out to your real estate company. And it'll be coming out of my sovereign account. And that will be something that you put on the public record saying my real estate company did this much in revenue this week. And then when you put that on the public record, you notify the exchange that some revenue came in. And that will make it so that your initial investment, you get a dividend back on top of what your company made. So the exchange is operating like a stock market, except the stock is the transaction. It's not the people. It's the transaction. It's the exchange. And you get a dividend based on your transaction. So we've taken the place of the corporates and the CEOs. That's all we've done. And we're doing our own sovereign commerce in gold. And when you put that on the public record, more and more are going to come and do the same thing. And guess what? The hybrids have to honor it. The same way they honored my documents on the building down the street, they have to honor it. They're saying that the building is vacant because the sovereign exchange hadn't taken place on the record yet. I have the title. They know I got the title. I've properly claimed it. All of that's done in red and all lowercase letters, so they had to get out. But now it's who owns the building. Has there been a commercial exchange? Yes, you and I are going to do it. So that's what you do from this point, is get whatever templates together, Empress Shade, that are going to be needed to do real estate transactions. Sovereign ones in red and all lowercase letters. And when we put that on the public record and we notify all of those in the territories that this has been purchased by the heirs, then they can't fight. They can't send policy enforcers. And you have to include in that if anything happens with that property, that the Moorish government is taking care of it. We're basically just replacing all government services with our own. That includes securing the place, making sure it's locked. Because with the building down the street, no one's ever there. They just lock a fence. And there's other places to walk in there through, around that. So we can get in and out of there without even having to worry about the lock, but they made an effort to quote unquote secure it. So we have to secure the property. And that's how that works. You have to make sure that a sovereign banking exchange has taken place and that there's insurance in place, and that a listing of that property saying that a Moor has purchased that property allodially using gold-backed sovereign credit is put on the public record competently. That's where you go from here, is create your template for each of your sovereign exchanges, so that if I sent you 10 Moors next week who need domiciles and they want to do the real estate process, they're going to be the ones doing the demonstration, in their territory, but you're going to be the one assisting, saying a proper real estate transaction took place. Is that hopefully that was.
Oh yeah, I mean we're pretty much going to be closed in, like you said, and doing the listing. So I would suggest that the Moors actually take pictures and get old listings of the properties that they're looking into. So to give me that information so it can be converted into our listing and to show that it has closed, and then we could just take all the closing documents that they normally do at the title company, and like you stated, and put it in our Moorish wording. And you pretty much said it. I mean, that okay. I understand. I definitely understand.
The thing that's going to make your company very powerful, Empress, is that your inventory is going to grow so quickly. And even if you don't have Moors coming to you right now, you can be going out and titling properties already and saying, hey, Moors, we have a listing here. And the Moors can do their part, too, to assist with, like, taking photos of whatever. But you're going to be getting listings from all territories. So you give the Moors a list of documents and things, just like we've done here. The heirs have to be competent and do their work, do their part. Get you what you need in order to assist them with the listing. Give them a list. So all of the companies need to develop a list of what they're going to need from the Moorish sovereign customers, the heirs, in order to make it so that the transactions go smoothly. We're on the ground floor here, so we have time to get it fixed up and get everything done properly, because the numbers are going to increase significantly, because the corporate banks they're not making any loans and things like that for domiciles. For the most part, they shut that down. And that's going to be even worse the more we open up and start doing what we're doing right now. So it's good that we're on the ground floor here of these processes. Now, I'll tell you this about what we're doing. People who came here from other places, like China used their own money too when they came here. They used their own money. They just knew the processes. You know the processes, Empress. So send me a list of things you need from me in order to, and I'll provide the money, which is the treasury instrument. And here's the thing about that. Remember, nobody at a closing of a house ever came in there with a suitcase full of money. Everybody used paper and electronic transactions.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing the same thing, except our electronic transactions take the form of an email.
Right.
Okay?
Okay.
That's how we have to do it. That's how we have to, and you're going to be so glad we did, because see, our banking people that have banking expertise and technology expertise, they're going to be able to transfer our transactions that have already taken place into electronic format, where we can do it like Cash App, or do it like PayPal, or do it like the bank does it, where you can open it up and look on the bank, look on your computer and see what's gone out and what's come in.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That's
okay.
where our banking people are concerned. But we can do it. We can do a real estate transaction right now.
Okay. Yeah, well, let's start working on that. I'll definitely get it together on my part, and like I said, send whatever instructions on what I need so it can be converted, and then, like you said, and put it on the public record and notify everyone that, you know, the transaction has taken place, and signed, sealed, delivered. It's done.
Yes. I want to show you all something, because, see, sometimes when we say things, it seems like the things that we say are simple and maybe not, you know, not as effective or recognized. I want to show you, let's see. I want to show you the bond that was created, that they did the entire Louisiana Purchase on, and they claimed all of that land on this one bond. Let me show you what the bond looks like, because you're not even going to believe it. And this is going to show you how simple all of this really, really is. Let's see. Now think about all of that land that the Louisiana Purchase encompassed. And let me show you what they used to do that. I'm going to put it up on the screen right now. Can you see something on the screen that looks handwritten? Is it showing on the screen?
Yes.
Okay. That is the document that somebody scribbled together and hand wrote to accomplish, to get all of that land. Now, of course, they had a court action that came, but they used one little stock. That one right there. That one is on display at the Museum of Financial History. That one little handwritten document, they displaced all the Moors with that. And what it says is essentially that for $200, and actually it's really, the document is a $1 document. I'll read to you what it says, because you can't really see what it says, but the banker where I got this from read it. He was able to read it and see it. I'll tell you what it says. This is what it says. That little document says the following. Because he turned $200 into $11,250,000 back then. It says $200 Louisiana, 6% stock, and then there's a number. It says Treasury of the United States Registrar's Office, December 24th, 1803. Be it known that there is due from the United States of America, and he put that in all lowercase letters. So one of us did something in black. That's why it's not a valid sale, because one of us did something in black ink and did not know that it shouldn't have been in black ink. They knew, so they put it in the proper case on the document. It says, be it known that there is due from the United States of America unto Hope and Company of Amsterdam, merchants, and that was a merchant bank, and Francis Baring and Company of London, merchants, or their assignees, the sum of $200 bearing interest at 6% per annum. From the 20th day of December, 1803, exclusively payable in Amsterdam semi-annually. This on the first days of July and January, and at the rate of 2 guilders and 1/2 of a guilder, current money of Holland per dollar. Amsterdam money is what they were using, which is New York. So they were at New York when they did this. And a guilder is 40 cents. So they only had to pay $1, which 2 guilders and 1/2, that's 40 plus 40 plus 10, or 20. 40 plus 40 plus 20, that's $1. And it says, being stock created by virtue of an act entitled, and an act just means they did a court action and said make a stock. So it says, being stock created by virtue of an act entitled, an act authorizing the creation of a stock to the amount of $11,250,000 for the purpose of carrying into effect the convention of the 30th of April, 1803, between the United States of America, and in that one, they lowercase United and uppercase States of America, which means that it's not the same one, and the French Republic, that means that it's hybrid, okay, and making provision for the payment of the same, past this 10th day of November, 1803, the principal of which is payable at the Treasury of the United States, and they put that in all lowercase letters, by annual installments of not less than 1/4 part each, the first of which will commence 15 years from the 21st day of October, 1803, and then they signed it. This little, it's complete fiction, but you know what? They showed it to some Moors that didn't know that we don't use black ink and all up in capital letters on our documents. And somebody said, okay, well, they just bought all the land out from under us, so, oh, well, I guess we better go leave, pack our stuff. But if you'll notice, it mentions there's a court action that happened behind that. And there was a meeting, a convention. A convention is what we're doing right now. determining that we're going to put something into a law, into effect, and then we're going to do it. And they didn't even really rent it, Empress, because we don't even authorize and look at, and we don't recognize and acknowledge black ink and capital letters. That's fraud. Because, see, they were pretending to be us when they did all of that United States of America and messed up the capitalization, et cetera. So those are some things that we have to know as we're moving into this sovereign commerce that we're doing. And it's very simple. No capital letters, no black ink, and no fiat. And you're good. It's as simple as that. And what we're doing, Empress Shade, based on the question that you asked, this is simple too. It's just as simple as that is. We've already done liens and court actions. And now, Justice Amir, France, who are the original French? Who are the original French? Islam. Who are the original Europeans? The Moors. Because there were no Europeans back then. Way back initially, when those words and names and titles came about. So yeah, they didn't buy anything because, again, and this is my point with what we're doing, they did not pull out a case of money. They just used documents to do it, and they put the documents on the public record. That's all we're doing is the same thing. So, Empress Shade, that's where a lot of this is coming from, is when I'm looking through the records of what they did, very seldom did they pull out anything green. The green stuff was to fool us. But when the major deals are happening and the sovereigns are doing things, we use our own sovereign affidavit, because an unrebutted affidavit stands as law, and no one ever rebuts our affidavit. They don't even try. Are there any other questions or comments regarding this? Again, look at the paper that the Louisiana Purchase happened with. Look at that. It's nothing. It's nothing. And then they got some really good salespeople to make us think it was something. We got this. We just have to use our own sovereign documents and don't use their documents. That's it. It's a wrap. Are there any other questions, comments, etc.?
Islam. We've spoken about this previously, but to keep everything super simple and distill it down, any de facto transaction, identification, claim, or authorization, those match up to your de jure authorizations, court actions.
We rebut
so you don't leave the void. When you lien them and all of that stops, you fill in the blank. You create life properly, in order. You issue your court actions. That takes care of any de facto anything, especially if you're still identifying yourself simply and properly. So we can do simple, full disclosures of who we are and set forth exactly what needs to happen and what will be happening, and they'll start to get in line. They're waiting for you to unveil yourself.
Yes. It's a wrap. When they see that we know who we are and that we know what to put on the public record, they'll step back. I'm telling you, I'm seeing it with my own two eyes. a court action was able to stop them in their tracks, and they were standing supposedly 5 feet in front of me, but I think they were in the land of the dead, and I was in the land of the living. And I brought them into the land of the living as subjects, and they couldn't do anything. I needed to see that. That's why I went into the POW camp. I needed to see that we can stop that. And that no matter how many times they come, they can't do anything but what we tell them. We got this. We don't need cases of green, and we don't even need their banks and their transactions going on at their banks if we putting our bank transactions on the public record, like we do our lien. Period. But that's okay. We're going to continue demonstrating. We're going to keep doing it and keep proving it repeatedly. We're going to keep doing it. Are there any other questions, comments, anything at all? Islam. We are getting a little on in the hour with regard to this investment summit. Be sure that you send for your investment inheritance packet, because we do want to place on the public record who has claimed what companies, so that we know who the point of contact is as we need what we need. Infrashade, because you've spoken up on this call, you're the real estate person for, not person, but the real estate sovereign thus far. So all you would need to do is do your packet, and then Moors will know that Infrashade is doing the sovereign real estate exchanges and transactions. And then if you need any assistance where the treasury piece is concerned, I'm here. But you don't really need it because the same documents that we're using for this exchange to get everything listed on the exchange is the same document that you'll be using, and you and the Moors will be using to do the realty transaction. Same one. And we've already made sure that those realty documents are proper conveyance methods. They have to have a certain set of numbers on them, and we have to keep those numbers allodial and sovereign. Those numbers cannot be corporate numbers, and that's easy to do. It's easy to do. We already have the numbers. So if there be nothing further, congratulations, heirs. You just inherited, and you've always had them, 219 companies. And it's up to us to grow them and make them grow. And here's the thing. We inherited them from our ancestors. It's just like your parents giving you a whole company and saying, baby, go do your thing. Make this company work. And that's what we're going to do. And we can pull from the land anything that we need when we lien it and do court actions on it and do a allodial title and claim it. That's all. We can use all of that. Anything from the land. With my sea salt company, I'm going to be going to the ocean getting water freely, regularly. And then any spaces that I need, we're going to do the real estate, that final piece of the real estate transaction. Empress Shade and I are going to do that final piece. And then Empress Shade, I'm going to start sending people your way for real estate stuff. And your job is ministry of it. And that's my job, is ministry of the process. And then the Moors demonstrate them, and we all demonstrate them together, Islam. If there be nothing further, I want to be sure. Okay. If there be nothing further, peace. Original edition is natural divine air.
Peace, love, and grand rising, more.
Grand rising.
Peace and love. Peace and grand rising.
Just the light.
How you do this?
Yes.
Let's get some more.
I was trying to get the number to text me and
Peace and love, more.
We don't really know how to communicate with y'all. You understand that?
Islam.